A millionaire recognizes his childhood sweetheart as she begs with two 3-year-old twins. But what comes next is incredible. Before we begin, please leave a comment below indicating the city you are viewing from. Enjoy the story. Logan Bennett, a vicious millionaire, was walking down a busy street corner when something caught his eye. There sat a woman with disheveled hair and soiled, worn clothing. She stood next to her two 4-year-old twins on the pavement, her face worn out and scarred with pain, had ragged clothing, and one of them was sobbing silently while wiping her tears with little, filthy hands. "Don't worry, sweetie." With a trembling voice full of desperate love, the woman stroked the child's hair and whispered, "Someone will help us soon." Logan felt a pang in his breast. He recognized the face despite the pain and grime, and it was Olivia Carter. The lady he used to admire from a distance, the passion of his youth, had never seen him at school, other than to make fun of his uncomfortable attempts to attract her attention, now left her defenseless and vulnerable. With his heart pounding, Logan walked cautiously toward Olivia and tentatively beckoned her. For a brief moment none of them spoke, and she slowly raised her head, her eyes widening as she recognized Logan's voice. The awkward recollections weighed heavily on their stillness, until Olivia averted her eyes as though she wanted to vanish. Unable to conceal his worry, he questioned, "What had happened to you?" Olivia turned away, grasping Logan. "Go away. The girls are even closer, but it doesn't matter, we're all right." I couldn't help but notice that one of the girls was crying out of hunger, while the other was staring at her mother and clinging to her arm. He looked at him with wide, terrified eyes, as the scene's anguish and sorrow struck him like a blow. "You're not fine. Come with me." Olivia started to object, saying, "I'm not abandoning you and your—" The girls gazed at him. "Daughters, I'm inviting you out here in the cold, and I won't accept a no." Curious, yet wary, Olivia hesitated as the person who had been crying pushed her lips together to contain her emotions. However, Logan's resolute stare convinced her to give in, because she understood she had no other option. Logan pulled out his phone and made a call. He said, "My driver will be here in 5 minutes." And then he placed the phone away and left. When the car arrived, he held out his hand to Olivia, who grudgingly accepted it, saying, "There's no reason for you to stay here." While Olivia held the other daughter, Logan assisted her in holding the other girl. The children's faces showed fatigue. Olivia peered out into the suffocating silence as they sat on their mother's shoulders on the way to Logan's mansion. The window. While engrossed in his thoughts, Logan occasionally glanced at her in an attempt to understand. Olivia's life had crumbled, and her unease at the grand mansion was evident. "Logan, you don't have to do this. We can stop bickering." The sight of the immaculate garden and pleasant lights seemed to be from another planet. "Olivia, please come inside, eat, and relax." Mrs. Harper, the housekeeper. She answered the door, looking shocked, but remained silent. Logan instructed her to prepare a room. Logan escorted the kids and Olivia to the living room while Mrs. Harper took care of the girls. I requested the preparation of food for them and lit the fireplace to create a warm and inviting atmosphere. "Thank you, Logan." The girls snuggled up on the sofa next to Olivia, who muttered, "Really, thank you," with tears welling up in her eyes. Logan nodded. His mind raced, knowing that tonight was just the beginning and that tomorrow he would have to face the truth. Olivia's narrative unfolds as the sun begins to rise. I peeked through the windows of Logan's mansion, but Olivia was already up. She observed her twins, Harper and Hazel, who were still sleeping sweetly while perched on the edge of the bed. Her girl's warmth and comfort for the first time in a long time should have warmed her heart, but instead Logan was also awake when she felt a lump in her throat widen over the mansion. Sitting in his office, he pondered all he had witnessed the previous evening. He couldn't get the picture of Olivia on the sidewalk with her kids out of his head. He had to comprehend how this had occurred after all of the self-assured Olivia he had known in school. Someone who appeared to be heading for great achievements in life soon after the Miss Carter, the maid, gently knocked on Olivia's door. "Breakfast is ready, and Mr. Bennet wants you and the girls to." Olivia thanked him for coming down, and after briefly waking the twins, they left. The girls hurried with excitement to the dining room downstairs, where a hearty breakfast feast was waiting for them. Olivia's assortment of fruits, breads, and liquids delighted the guests, but Logan replied, "Please have a seat." As he appeared in the doorway, he wore a sharp suit. He was wearing a white dress shirt and appeared at ease, yet there was a serious undertone in his eyes. "Thank you, Olivia," he said. Removing a chair while Harper and Hazel eagerly consumed the food throughout the lunch, and Logan and Olivia were in awkward silence, and he knew he had to be careful, but he was determined to. Olivia realized that the housekeeper had taken the girls to play in a nearby room after they had finished eating. He remained seated, now alone with Logan. He put his elbows on the table and gave Olivia a direct gaze. She looked away and clasped her hands in her lap, saying, "I need to talk. I want to understand what happened to you. I enjoy sharing stories, and I'm not here to pass judgment. I just want to support Logan in pausing his speech. It doesn't happen overnight, and when I saw you yesterday, you and your daughters were in a predicament." Olivia took a deep breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and then began to speak. "I began dating Jake Miller after I graduated from high school. Do you recall him? He was the most popular guy there." Logan nodded, his jaw tightening at the mention of Jake's name. He remembered Jake, whom everyone admired all too well. Who wouldn't hesitate to inflict harm on others in order to accomplish their goals? "Jake and I began dating, correct? I was in love after prom and assumed he felt the same way. A few months later, I discovered I was expecting when I told him, and I believed we would deal with it together, but he left me, saying he wasn't prepared to be a parent." Logan clenched his fists on the ground the last time I saw him because he didn't want the responsibility. He just left you, and he's battling to control the rage that's building inside him. Olivia nodded, her eyes welling with sorrow. "Yes, I was by myself without any help. I did everything I could to support the girls because my parents couldn't help much, but it wasn't enough, and I eventually lost. When Harper and Hazel were 2 years old, we had to move out of our apartment due to my work and the rising costs." Logan sat quietly as he processed the fact that we had been living on the streets and depending on the generosity of strangers. He just learned that although Olivia was tough in the past, life had destroyed her in ways he could not have predicted. When he eventually begged for assistance, his voice became softer, and I felt embarrassed. Olivia acknowledged her embarrassment about the situation. Logan took a deep breath, realizing that I didn't want anyone, particularly someone like you, to witness me in this state, as my life had crumbled. "Breathe with a mixture of sympathy and sorrow, Olivia, as nobody deserves to leave. You're no longer alone because I'll assist you and your daughters in getting back on your feet." "Why are you doing all of this, Logan?" He paused, but he realized that despite everything, I cared, so he had to be honest. Olivia, who has always cared for you, sat silently, unable to answer Logan's. As Olivia tucked the girls down, she attempted to take in everything that had happened that evening, and words kept repeating in her head. For the first time in years, she thought about what Logan had said as she went to bed. She felt a glimmer of hope, but she was aware that asking for assistance meant confronting her darkest anxieties, starting over the following morning when the sun rose, shone through the expansive windows of the estate, waking Olivia to the gentle sound of Harper and Hazel's laughter for a brief while. The carpet next to the bed made her feel as though she was dreaming. It was difficult to accept that she had been sitting on a curb 24 hours prior, unsure of their next move. She called the girls to be ready, fresh, and stretched before the supper arrived. Olivia was impressed by the housekeeper's thoughtfulness as she laid out the clothes in the room. When they headed downstairs for breakfast, Logan was still uncomfortable in such opulent surroundings. He was already in the living room going over some files when he heard the twins' footsteps, and faintly Harper joyfully nodded as he said, "Did you sleep well?" While Hazel timidly held, "Yes, it was the best night we've had in a long time," Olivia said, acknowledging her mother's hand. Voice Logan motioned for them to sit, which is good to hear. "You don't need to worry about anything today. I want Olivia. You may relax while the girls play in the garden or anywhere else they choose. Logan, I'm not sure how to express my gratitude for everything, but I want to benefit from your generosity as quickly as possible. I'll get a job." But Logan stopped her with a hand. "Olivia, you need to heal before doing anything else. Don't stress about deadlines. We'll work this out together." Even with his comforting remarks, Olivia felt burdened because she didn't naturally accept aid. But after breakfast, she buried her pride for the sake of her daughter, whose health came first. Under the housekeeper's watch, Harper and Hazel played in the garden as Olivia assisted. Logan found her in the kitchen, shaking his head as he saw her. He felt uncomfortable about not doing more. "She is attempting to wash the dishes, but Olivia, you don't have to do that. I have other things to do, Logan." I don't feel comfortable simply accepting everything without returning Logan's side, but for now I want to. Olivia stopped, considering the girls' needs, and asked if they had everything they needed. "They have old, well-worn clothing and shoes, so let's go get what they need." Olivia's eyes widened. "It's not necessary, Logan. I can handle it later." "There's no need to talk," Logan answered gently. Olivia, Harper, and Hazel were in a car accident 30 minutes later. "I'll grab the car." Logan closely monitored the girls as they darted among the racks in the downtown children's store. Harper exclaimed, holding a shimmering blue frock, "Can I really get this, Mommy?" Olivia's heart ached as she tried on new outfits. When she saw her daughter's eager, bright eyes, Hazel, the more reserved twin, said, "Yes, sweetheart, you can." "A pair of new sneakers, I agree. And you agree, Mommy." Olivia nodded with a tearful smile. After selecting clothes, shoes, and a few toys, my sweetheart Logan watched in silence, delighted to see the girls so content. They went to a restaurant for lunch where the twins engaged in lively conversation while playing and sharing stories. "You've done so much for us today," Olivia observed, feeling relieved to see them smile at last. Olivia truly thanked Logan, saying, "I've only done what anyone should do." Logan said nonchalantly, "You deserve this, Olive." I lowered her eyes in embarrassment. Despite her awareness of Logan's kindness, she couldn't help but reflect on her previous interactions with him. She practically whispered, "You're a much better person than I was to you, Logan." Logan silently scowled at Olivia, saying that the past is over and that what counts now is what we have. She nodded, but when they returned, the guilt remained. Olivia watched the twins from the living room as they raced directly to the garden to show off their new attire upon arriving at the estate. With a smile on her face, Logan felt safe for the first time in years. The stillness was broken by standing next to her. "These females are amazing. My ability to persevere through the most trying times provided me with motivation to keep going." Logan gazed at her with adoration. "You're more resilient than you think, Olivia, to endure everything you've been through and still remain strong." She sighed. "I don't know if it's strength or just stubbornness, but thank you. It's something that few people can do." Logan grinned and said, "You can always rely on me if you need anything." Olivia nodded, feeling at last that she could put her trust in someone other than herself. Harper and Hazel were still sound asleep when Olivia woke up the following morning to the gentle sunlight coming through the curtains. Olivia observed her daughters for a while as their faces relaxed, liberated from the anxieties they had carried on the streets. Moment of relief and hope that perhaps a fresh start was conceivable. Following, after putting on her clothes, she headed downstairs to find Logan reading the newspaper and drinking coffee in the kitchen. When he heard her footsteps, he glanced up at the newspaper and grinned. "Good morning," he said. "You sleep well, thank you, and you're like a rock." He folded the. Olivia thanked him and said, "I made coffee for you too. Have a seat." As she sipped her coffee, Logan sat across from her, feeling oddly comfortable with the routine that was beginning to take shape. She responded, "I was thinking that we can start focusing on you and me now that the girls are more at ease. You said that you wanted to work again, which astonished me. What kind of job are you in?" Searching for Olivia remained silent for a moment, weighing her options due to her academic background. Logan said, "I don't have many options due to my background, but I'm prepared to do whatever to help my girls." "That seems logical. But what if you could continue your studies and find employment that genuinely fulfills you?" "Logan, I don't have the time or resources for that. You'd have both here." Her eyes widened as she studied that. Olivia shook her head. "I can assist with the expenses and ensure the girls receive proper care while you study. You've already done so much for us that I can't handle any more." Logan moved forward, his face solemn. "Olivia, this is about Harper and Hazel as much as it is about you. Have the opportunity to strengthen yourself. It will ultimately benefit your daughters. Please consider Logan's remarks." Olivia was severely affected, fighting with her pride and humiliation that night, even though she knew he was correct. Logan invited Olivia to meet him in his office after putting the twins to bed because he needed to talk to her about something crucial. "Have a suggestion for you." He started to give her a tiny envelope, which she opened to discover more about the courses in business and entrepreneurship that I would like you to think about enrolling in. You possess intelligence, tenacity, and the potential to achieve great things. This will equip you with the necessary resources. Olivia examined the documents in order to help herself and build a better future for her girls. Logan's mind is racing to process the offer. "This is too much, and I'm not sure you can succeed. You're more competent than you believe, and you don't need to make a decision right now. Just consider it." Olivia clutched the eye, studied the papers closely, feeling conflicted in the days that followed, between hope and terror. After giving Logan's suggestion some thought, Olivia gradually began to realize that this might be her opportunity to turn her life around and, more importantly, provide her girls the future they deserve. After giving it some thought, she decided to enroll in the classes, and with Logan's help, I began studying throughout the day, while the housekeeper took care of the twins, although it was initially challenging. As Olivia gained new abilities and rediscovered a side of herself, she believed she had lost every day. She felt revitalized. It was a minor triumph, and she firmly believed that she was creating something enduring. Logan trailed her closely, growth giving her support and encouragement when she needed it, understanding that Olivia needed to have confidence in herself as much as he had faith in her. Olivia began to see how crucial Logan had become, his dependable and ever-present presence in her life. Olivia's routine was rapidly changing, as support gradually broke down the barriers she had erected over the years. She studied for hours in the office Logan had set up in the mornings, while Harper and Hazel played in the garden. At first, reading each page was like climbing a mountain for her, but after Logan's consistent and steadfast support inspired her when she discovered her rhythm. Furthermore, one afternoon, as Olivia was reviewing her documents, Logan walked into the room. With a serious expression on her face, she immediately realized that something was wrong. "We need to talk," he muttered. shutting the door after him. Olivia's stomach clenched. Why had I located someone from your past, Logan? The name of the guy who had deserted Olivia, Jake Miller, thundered in her mind as he sat across from her. Olivia took a long breath, attempting to reach the father of her girls, who had never acknowledged them when she most needed him. Trying to contain the emotional outburst, she continued in a more steady voice, "What does he have to do with this?" As anticipated, I've been researching a few topics in order to gain a better understanding of what transpired with you after school. You found Jake and decided to confront him. Olivia was shocked by what you did. You needed to understand the truth about his treatment of you and the reasons behind his abandonment of you in the girl Logan, something you had no right to do. It might not be the case, but I did it for you. Olivia remained quiet, her chest clenched. Bringing Jake back into her life seemed like revisiting a wound that hadn't entirely healed, even though she knew Logan meant well. "Healed? What did he say?" she asked at last, hesitantly, and Logan put his, "He revealed everything he knew. You were pregnant, but didn't want to take it," with his elbows resting on the table inside. He asserted that it was simpler to avoid responsibilities, so let's play a little game, for the only people who will comprehend now are those who have read the comments and typed pizza. Let's return to the story. Olivia felt her wrath surge like a wave, since she didn't think Jake would be any different. However, even after hearing those things aloud, did he bring up the girls? She asked. Olivia's eyes were full of tears, but he didn't even inquire about them. As much as she hated Jake, she tightened her hands to keep from crying, because she had always dreamed that one day, on the day when he would express regret, or at least some interest in the daughters he had left behind, Logan stood and put a hand on her shoulder, and know that I'm here to support her. I stared at him, resisting the urge to cry. Thank you, Logan, but I have things to take care of on my own. Olivia sat at the kitchen table one evening after the girls had gone to bed. Logan's words replayed in her mind as she stared at a cold cup of tea, and the image of Jake hung there like a burden. Shadow realized that confronting the past definitively was necessary for her to move forward. Olivia attempted to get back to her schedule in the days that followed, but she was unable to. The memory of Jake and the altercation Logan had described weighed her down like an anchor. Observing the shift in her behavior, Olivia decided to give her some space, yet kept a cautious watch on her one morning. After making a choice, she phoned Jake on the phone, who answered after a few rings, but sounded uninterested. "Olivia is on the other end of the call. We need to talk." There was a brief period of silence, just a few seconds before he responded, "It's about the girls. It's been so long." Jake sighs. "Olivia, you've never been interested in learning anything about them, but that needs to change. Not for me, but for them. Since I've previously stated that I don't want to participate in this, what do you want me to say to apologize?" Olivia said, "You'll never meet them, never take any responsibility for my move," even if her heart was tense. "Olivia, I think you should do the same." The line died before she could reply. It was the closure she needed as she stood there with the phone, attempting to understand the void left by that discussion. Logan's arrival was necessary, but it also served as a harsh reminder that Jake will never be a part of her daughter's life. In the evening, he discovered Olivia seated on the couch with the twins dozing next to her. He took a seat beside her and waited for her to speak before I spoke with Jake. When she finally broke the stillness, Logan scowled and asked, "How did it go?" Logan tightened his hands in a way that made it clear that he was angry and didn't want anything to do with them. Olivia stared introspectively at her daughters, unable to comprehend what he was missing. "I did it for the girls, not for him." Logan needed to confirm that there was nothing more to expect from him. Logan nodded in admiration, saying, "Now I move on. I want the girls to grow up under the shadow of a father who never cared." Although he was aware of the anguish Olivia was still carrying, he could see a renewed resolve in her. Logan gave Olivia a tiny gift the following morning, a notebook and a classy, "What's this, pen?" She said, "I want you to use a tool to plan your future." Olivia smiled, moved by the advice to write down your objectives and the steps you need to take to reach them. "A gesture of gratitude, Logan. Without you, I don't know what I'd do. You do precisely what you're doing right now, rebuilding, just here to make sure you have every chance to succeed." Olivia persisted in her studies with Logan's help. The encounter with Jake had been difficult, but it was also necessary for her to improve her life and that of her girls. It was liberating to realize that she no longer needed to reflect on the days that had passed. Olivia became more structured and concentrated solely on her education and raising the twins, while with Logan by her side, providing constant support, their bond grew stronger and stronger. The atmosphere was natural, marked by mutual comprehension and small acts of kindness one afternoon. In the living room, Olivia went over her notes when Logan entered holding a folder and grinning enigmatically. She rested the notebook on her lap and asked him, "What's that?" with curiosity. Chance Logan answered, passing her the folder containing the papers, and Olivia read the headline of the project assistant Bennett's tentative contract. She scowled and turned to face Logan, perplexed. "Are you asking me to work? I'm not trying to pressure you, Olivia, but I think this would be a great way to start your career. It's a temporary role that allows you to use what you're learning while maintaining enough freedom to continue studying." And Olivia was hesitant to care for the girls after reading the contract, despite the generous offer. She remained uncertain about the potential challenges of dealing directly with Logan. "Logan, I'm not sure whether I'm the ideal person for this because I don't have any emotional ties to the link they were creating. You have more experience than you realize. You're picking things up fast. You've proven that you can overcome obstacles, and I'm not doing this as a favor, but I truly believe in what Logan said about your potential." Feeling genuine, Olivia could sense the weight of his support. She was aware that accepting this position would be a significant step. She also worried that she might fall short of expectations. Then, after a few seconds of silence, Olivia took a big breath. I took a deep breath and smiled slightly. "Okay, I'll do it, Logan. You won't regret it. We'll take things slowly and gradually," she said with a broad smile of satisfaction. Despite her apprehension, Olivia was introduced to Logan's crew the following morning, demonstrating your abilities. She soon discovered that he had selected kind and patient people to help her with the necessary organization for the work. Olivia needed to manage her time effectively and pay close attention to detail. Challenged with tenacity, the twins also appeared content and more accustomed to their new schedule. The sound of children playing in the garden or painting in the kitchen fills the once quiet house in the afternoons. Logan often joined them whenever he could, contributing to their enthusiasm and humor. One evening, Logan brought 2 cups of tea into the office while Olivia was going over reports. He placed one next to her and sat on the chair. He said, "Nearby couch, you're doing really well," as Olivia grinned at her. "I still have a lot to learn, but I'm enjoying the challenge, and that's what matters for growth. My cheeks are warming a little. Comes from work and you're displaying outstanding strength." She briefly averted her gaze to try to control the surge of Logan's words evoked strong feelings, "and I appreciate your belief in me." I smiled back, and the quiet that followed felt cozy, almost personal over the ensuing weeks. Small gestures like lingering looks or fleeting touches suggested a deeper relationship between Olivia and Logan. There was no doubting that something was changing, even though they were both reluctant to admit it. Olivia surprised everyone by presenting a plan to simplify a project's logistics during a team meeting that afternoon. Logan, who was obviously happy for her, grinned as he applauded her in front of the entire group. "Olivia, your initiative is a great idea, and we will immediately put it into practice." She thanked him, feeling assured, and ultimately, as the two made their way to the parking lot, Logan paused and gazed, feeling fulfilled for the first time in years. Looking her in the eye, "Olivia, do you know how much you've changed since coming here?" "I still feel like I have a lot to prove to you," she said, smiling softly as she shook her head. "You're already amazing just the way you are, so you don't need to prove anything to anyone." Olivia's heart beat, and as if to say more, Logan moved closer as the world around them seemed to disappear, yet the sound of he was interrupted by twins running toward them. "Mommy, look what we created!" Harper, and as Hazel yelled and held up vibrant paintings, Olivia chuckled and bent to give them a hug while Logan observed the action. Later that evening, when she put the girls into bed, she smiled and felt a tremendous sense of happiness simply being with them. In bed, Olivia thought about how much her life had changed in the last few months because of Logan's love and support. He showed the twins, and his encouragement to keep going meant more to her than she could have ever imagined. She felt both thankful and nervous as she lay down, since she knew she was about to collapse. She was still afraid to open her heart to Logan. Logan, on the other hand, found himself considering Olivia grew more and more powerful, resilient, and committed. He thought there was something unique and valuable between them, despite their complex pasts. Examining how it would become increasingly difficult to ignore the nights at Logan's mansion in the upcoming weeks. After spending a significant amount of time working and playing with Harper and Hazel, she became quieter. Olivia frequently found herself sitting on the side of her bed with the lights dimmed, thinking deeply. Despite how much her life had improved, a ghost of the past remained, despite Logan's consolation and support, hung over her that night, making it impossible for Logan to sleep. He sat in the living room, gazing at the fireplace's dancing flames and thinking about he was worried by Olivia's occasional withdrawal, and he felt they needed to have an open discussion about their feelings in order to proceed the following morning, as Harper and Logan used the opportunity to approach Olivia while Hazel was playing in the garden. "I was arranging the recently delivered goods in the kitchen when Logan came in and silently watched her for a moment." Olivia paused, understanding his tone, before he spoke, asking if she could speak. Obviously, this wasn't a typical conversation. But what exactly did Logan indicate she should follow him to? He said, "There's something I've wanted to say for a while, but I wasn't sure how Olivia would respond," as they sat down in the living room. She leaned forward a little, her heart beginning to race. "Why? I really like your fortitude and tenacity, but you still seem to be carrying a lot of guilt, so I think it's time for you to move on." She ignored what he had to say. "Touching a tender spot, Logan, I acknowledge that I've erred greatly in the past. I sometimes feel like I don't deserve the life you're giving me because of the decisions I made that have led me to this point." Logan shook his head at me, saying that everyone makes errors. "You deserve this, and so much more because you've been working so hard to overcome your obstacles," he said. Olivia took a deep breath, understanding it was time to face the wounds she had been ignoring for so long, like a comforting balm. "Logan, I've never expressed regret for the selfish and immature way I treated you when we were younger." Logan was silent for a while, and I apologize for hurting you. I didn't see the importance of those around me. After hearing her statements, he finally remarked, "Olivia, the past is irrelevant now. We've both changed, and what's important now is what we're creating together. I hope you can forgive me." Olivia's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of sadness. She stared at Logan, who gazed back at her as though a huge weight had been lifted off her shoulders. "Logan, you don't need to thank me for everything. I appreciate your calm understanding. I'm here because I want to be there when the tension from the past started and a new chapter began for them to diminish, and they both felt that they could at last be completely honest with one another." In the days that followed, Olivia saw as she pushed herself into her work and studies with a renewed sense of zest, feeling a lightness in her heart that she hadn't had in years. One evening after the twins went to bed, Olivia had Logan's unwavering support. "I discovered Logan seated in a rocking chair in the garden, basking in the gentle glow of the moon. His face was lighted and he appeared to be deep in contemplation." "Are you okay?" Olivia said. Logan smiled as he sat next to him and said, "Yeah, I was just reflecting on how much has changed since I saw you. I never thought we'd end up here, and neither did Olivia on that night on the pavement." Acknowledged, "But I'm pleased it happened to me as well." Their quiet was soothing. As if he didn't need to speak, Logan glanced at Olivia and noticed the soft moonlight reflecting in her eyes. He was falling for her, but he didn't want to rush things. "Olivia, do you think second chances exist?" he questioned, breaking. The Logan nodded in encouragement at her remark, and she smiled as she considered his question. Only time could confirm that they were on their way to something wonderful, something they both needed. Logan decided to arrange a surprise for Olivia and the twins the following morning. He set up a quick excursion to a local farm so they could spend the day outside, away from the congestion. Of the city, Harper and Hazel were thrilled to hear the concept, and Olivia, despite being taken aback, expressed gratitude for she had the opportunity to spend quality time with her daughters and Logan. The day was memorable and full of fun. The girls enjoyed homemade ice, ran around the fields, and fed the farm animals. In the meantime, Olivia felt closer to Logan than ever before. At the conclusion, he appeared very comfortable interacting with the twins as though he had always been a member of their family. Harper and Hazel were sound asleep in the back seat of the car as they drove home, while Olivia, who was delighted but exhausted, watched Logan. "There's no need to thank me," she replied quietly as he drove carefully with a small smile on his lips. "Yes, it was a special day for all of us, and seeing it meant a lot to me." The girls are overjoyed, and Olivia said, "This is just the beginning. There are many more moments like this ahead of us." His words comforted her at the house, and for the first time in years, she thought the future might be bright. Before turning down the lights, Logan made sure the twins were comfortable and took them to their room, where Olivia stood. The consideration and commitment he showed struck those close to her as she lay in bed that night. Logan was correct. Olivia was prepared to let go of the past at last. Second chances. Mornings at Logan's mansion were now full of life for Harper, and she wouldn't waste the one she had been granted. Joy Logan, who had previously led a tranquil life, filled the house with infectious laughter as Hazel ran through it. With his entire life centered on work, he became more and more involved in the twins' routines and, most significantly, in Olivia's development. One morning as Olivia was preparing to depart, Logan invited her. He invited her to a crucial meeting to observe how he managed negotiations and guided his group. Logan replied, "Are you ready?" Despite her excitement, she was anxious since she didn't want to make any mistakes or feel uncomfortable. "More or less, I'm waiting for her by the door. I hope I don't bother you." Fantastic, Olivia. Olivia was awestruck by the grandeur of the firm building when they arrived, led her to the conference room, where a number of executives had already assembled, and presented her as a prospective. The collaboration at the meeting with Olivia made her feel both pleased and a little self-conscious. Logan urged her to express some of her ideas while she listened intently, taking in every detail. To her surprise, her recommendations were accepted, and one of the executives said, "Thank you, I'm still grateful. You have a very clear perspective. I'm still learning, but I'm glad I could help." Olivia said, grinning modestly, "Logan." He was pleased to observe the exchange because he had always thought Olivia was capable, but hearing other people acknowledge. After the meeting, Logan drove her to a neighboring cafe where they sat at an outdoor table, making her skills even more satisfying. "Logan, you are fantastic today. Olivia is now at ease and has requested a coffee. I was really anxious, but it was thrilling to be a part of it," he said, sipping his coffee. "This is just the starting out. You're creating something strong." Olivia gazed at him with a deep sense of appreciation, and none of this was accidental. Would be possible without you, Logan. I only showed you the route because you had faith in me when I didn't have faith in myself. Their moment was cut short when the housekeeping called to inform Olivia that the credit was all yours. Logan grinned when Harper and Hazel asked for her, saying, "Looks like your little ones miss you." Olivia laughed as she remarked, "They're so attached that they can't be apart for very long." When they got home, the twins rushed to embrace their mother, and Logan watched the event with a sense of everlasting. He was growing closer to the girls he adored because of their boundless energy and the way their laughter could light up any room. Later that afternoon, Harper and Hazel were delighted to assist Logan in setting up a small lunch in the garden. Olivia sat on a blanket spread to stuff a basket with sandwiches, fruit, and juice. "Olivia, you're growing more at ease with the girls as you watch them play with Logan on the grass." "They're amazing kids. It's tough not to become attached," she remarked as Logan sat down next to her. "Thank you for being. The only thing I've ever wanted is for Logan to smile because they are a part of you and they feel comfortable and content here, Olivia, and that's sufficient for me." His remarks had a profound effect on Olivia, who felt she was aware that her emotions for Logan extended beyond mere admiration, yet the fear sent her heart tumbling. As night fell, her inability to fully open her heart held Harper and Hazel back. Logan assisted Olivia in carrying them to their room after they eventually became exhausted and dozed off in their mother's arms. As they emerged into the hallway after carefully tucking the girls in, Olivia stopped and glanced at Logan, who had changed. "Our lives, and you are aware that you have altered mine as well." Logan's intense stare made her. She felt both safe and vulnerable, but she also knew she couldn't ignore it. How was she feeling? Later that night, as Olivia was making a cup of tea in the kitchen, Logan entered. He observed her in silence for a while before approaching Olivia. She turned to face him, her heart pounding more rapidly. "What is it?" Logan hesitated momentarily, but decided to be honest because you and the girls had completely changed my life since you arrived. "I care about you, Olivia, more than I can ever express. You bring something into my life that I didn't even know was lacking." His remarks caught Olivia off guard for a moment as they swept over her like a wave. At first she wasn't sure how to respond, but then she smiled, her eyes shining, and said, "Logan, I care for you too, but all of me I need more time because this is still so fresh to me." Logan nodded, appreciating her candor. "I don't want you to hurry. I simply wanted you to know how I felt, that their moment was cut short by a Harper had woken up and was wailing for her mother when she heard a faint noise coming from above." Logan sighed as he stared at the abandoned teacup in the kitchen, while Olivia smiled and went to tend to her. Gaining Olivia's full trust would take time, but he was willing to wait because of his feelings for her. In the days that followed Logan and Olivia's romance, girls were worth every moment of patience. The continued development was highlighted by small but significant events every day. As Logan stayed patient and gave her the room she needed to recover, Olivia felt herself opening up to him more. Trust that, Although they still had a long way to go, they were both prepared to take on whatever the sky threw at them. As the dense clouds over New York warned of an approaching storm, Olivia was in Logan's office going over. She approached each task with confidence, despite feeling more capable after working on the reports he had requested she do. Logan entered the room with the solemnity of someone who recognized the significance of her position for her new life. He carried 2 cups of coffee, set one next to Olivia, and sat across from her, silently watching her for a while. "Before you talk, you're doing great. You're aware of Olivia's appearance." I was shocked by his informal tone. "I'm trying, but I think I could do better. You're tough. I want you to know that I'm proud of what you've accomplished, even though that's a positive quality." After finishing, her cheeks began to blush a little, and she returned her attention to the computer screen where Logan had complimented her. It felt like more than just expert praise, and she couldn't help but notice the warmth in his voice as time seemed to pass. Logan managed to pass quickly as their relationship grew organically. He showed his concern for her by making modest actions or using words that made Olivia feel special, steadily removing the barriers she had erected to protect herself. But one night after, the Olivia hesitated at Logan's proposal to join him on the mansion's terrace after the twins had gone to bed, but she let her curiosity overcome her. Olivia was astounded by the sight of the chilly night and the city lights that glistened like stars when they arrived. Logan stood silently observing her as the air carried a tranquility that contrasted with New York's typical hectic pace. "I used to come up here when I wanted to believe," he finally said it, because of the way her eyes reflected the glow of the city. "But I believe the reason I don't feel that I need it as much these days is that I've discovered something that makes me feel more at ease." Olivia turned. "What gives you that tranquility, Logan?" He felt that there was more to his comments. Without hesitation, he said, "You." Her remarks took her by surprise, causing her to momentarily lose her voice. Logan took a stride. As the distance between them narrowed, "Something inside of me changed the moment I saw you that evening. As we've spent more time together, I've begun to realize that my feelings for you are unlike anything I've ever experienced." Olivia's heart pounded because she was aware that her feelings for Logan were intensifying. However, hearing his admission aloud made everything seem more genuine. "Logan is all new to me, and I'm still figuring out how to stand on my own 2 feet. I just want the ladies to know how I feel about Olivia. I'm not asking you to rush her." She inhaled deeply and gazed into his eyes, noticing the honesty there for the first time. She thought it could be safe to open her heart again after all these years. "I sense something. Logan, I also need some time to ensure I'm ready to proceed." Logan acknowledged her hesitancy and nodded, saying, "I'll wait as long as it takes." The distant thunderclap, warning of an approaching storm, diverted Olivia's attention. The horizon advised that we go inside before it starts to rain, since she was enjoying the cool breeze on her face. Logan agreed, but it was evident by the brightness in his eyes that this talk had altered their relationship in the days that, as time went on, the tension between Olivia and Logan increased. Their encounters had a faint tension, as though they were each attempting to strike a balance between the personal. And one evening, Logan, a professional, decided to give Olivia a wonderful supper as a surprise. When Olivia arrived, he personally cooked a lunch for the twins and asked the housekeeper to watch them. When she came downstairs and saw the tastefully decorated table, she was stunned and questioned, "You did all this?" In shock. "I wanted to." He smiled and said, "Do something special for you," as they conversed over supper. The conversation flowed naturally as they discussed everything from work to childhood memories to plans for the future. They seemed more comfortable together, and I never thought I'd have this chance. Olivia remarked, "I don't know where we'd be without you, Logan. You'd be somewhere fighting right now. I had the honor of assisting, as you always have, but it was more than that. Logan made a difference by believing in me when no one else did. Logan reached across the aisle, grasped her hand and said, "I'll always believe in you, Olivia." Was comforting and cozy, and Olivia sensed the barriers she had erected over the years start to come down. She knew she still had. Despite her anxieties, she also realized that Logan was unlike any other person she had ever encountered. After supper, Logan led her to her bedroom door, where they stood silently for a while, simply admiring each other. Olivia murmured, "Good night, Olivia," with a warm grin. For the first time in years, she felt her heart pound as she leaned against the door as she shut it. She forced herself to imagine a time when she wouldn't be alone. Logan, in the meantime, smiled as he descended the stairs. Despite knowing it wouldn't be easy, he was willing to go to extreme lengths to win Olivia's heart. That evening, as the rain began to pour, they both fell asleep with a renewed sense of optimism. As the future began to take shape, Olivia and Logan's everyday routines started to go by with an unexpected ease that captured. The twins surprised them both by showing increasing devotion to Logan, who responded with genuine compassion. Olivia loved them, but she still occasionally doubted herself, not about her emotions, but about if she was prepared to put all of her trust in someone again one afternoon, while Olivia was. Her phone buzzed on the desk while she was working on reports in the office. It was a message from an unidentified number. When she opened it, she saw a picture of Lo at a restaurant, chatting with a sophisticated woman. The message said, "Do you?" Olivia's heart pounded when she realized Logan had a social media presence. The message disturbed her personal and professional contacts, and the concern she had attempted to ignore suddenly returned. Why would someone give her a letter like that? And was that woman? Logan came home later that day, apparently when he discovered Olivia in the living room. The twins were playing close by, and he realized right then that something wasn't right. He sat next to her and asked, "Are you okay?" Olivia paused for a second before Logan displayed the message. "I received this today," and scowled as he examined the picture. Olivia wanted to believe him at the business meeting, but the message cast doubt on her. "She is a consultant that we are hiring for a project." Shadow over her confidence, Logan. "Why would someone send this to me? It appears they are trying to warn me about something. I'm not sure, but I can find out, Olivia, so you must have faith in me. Never do anything to harm you." His tone was sincere, and his voice was calm. Olivia stared into his eyes with honesty and noticed something that she couldn't ignore: the openness of someone who had nothing. "Logan, I try to hide the fact that I trust you, but this took me completely by surprise. The past few days have been filled with setbacks, and it's hard to ignore that anxiety." Logan gripped her hands tenderly, providing, "I understand, Olivia. I won't put any pressure on you. I simply want to give them a comforting squeeze." In the days that followed, Logan looked into the source to let you know that I'm here to support you through whatever. An angry former employee, whom he had fired months earlier, sent the message according to the investigation. Provided Olivia with proof that there was nothing to be afraid of. Olivia had a mixture of comfort and remorse, because she understood she was still learning to trust, but she understood that Logan would do whatever it took to ensure her emotional well-being. One evening, after putting the twins to sleep, Olivia went to Logan's for total security. When she came in, he was working on documents in the office, but saw her and asked to talk. "What's on your mind?" she questioned, shutting the door behind her. Olivia sat in. I sat down in the chair opposite his desk and took a deep breath. "I want to apologize for my skepticism. I know the message made me uncomfortable." Logan gave her a fair warning. "But it doesn't justify my lack of trust, because you've always been honest with me." Gentle smile, Olivia. "I know it's hard to lower your defenses, and I'm here to help, not apologize." His comments resonated deeply with Olivia, causing tears to well up in her eyes. "You're so Logan. It's different from anything I've ever experienced. It scares me, but it also gives me hope that I can find happiness again. For those who only read the comments, let's play a little game where you have to enter Coca-Cola in the comments. Far will comprehend the band, but let's get back to the narrative. Logan approached her. "Olivia, you deserve to be happy." He kneeled beside her and gently brushed away a tear that had spilled down her cheek. "Something moved between the walls that night, so you don't have to do it alone." After many days, Olivia finally began to crumble, and the days that followed were filled with more significant events. Logan remained patient and caring throughout their intimate times, whereas Olivia, as they walked through the park one afternoon with Harper, she gradually came to fully trust him. Hazel Logan was filled with emotion as he watched Olivia play with the girls. He was adamant that this was the life he desired and that upon their return he would spend eternity with her and the twins. Logan brought Olivia to the mansion's terrace after asking the housekeeper to monitor the girls for a few hours. "Olivia, I have something I would like to convey to you." Logan slipped it into his pocket and glanced at him, her heart pounding. "What is it?" I pulled out a small box, opened it, and discovered a beautiful ring that I wish to purchase. "For the rest of my life, you and the girls have brightened my days and made me happy in ways I never imagined." Logan said, "Yes, I will," with a smile, and Olivia covered her lips in disbelief as tears filled her eyes. He put the ring on her finger and then drew her into a close hug. The storm that had marked the beginning of their journey had finally passed, and they were ready to start a new chapter. Olivia and Logan conversed in the next room while the twins slept soundly. Regarding their future plans, they envision a simple wedding filled with love and a life built on the mutual respect and trust they have earned. The difficult task they accomplished that evening was just the beginning of a journey filled with joyous occasions and difficulties they would encounter. Preparations for Olivia and Logan's wedding started out simply but profoundly for both of them as a true family. Olivia desired a private ceremony with only Harper and the people involved in her new life present. Logan included Hazel in every aspect of my flower selection process, and they were ecstatic about the prospect of being flower girls. Olivia knew she still had to face one final ghost when choosing outfits, even though every moment was filled with joy. From her history, because while she had come to terms with the fact that Jake, the twins' biological father, would never accept accountability, she felt she had to confront him one last time. "Logan, I need to speak with Jake once more." Olivia mentioned that one evening, Logan scowled in concern while they were on the terrace. "Does that seem genuinely necessary to you?" "No, it's not for him, but rather for me." Logan felt a strong desire to conclude this chapter definitively. Logan gripped her hand, his eyes filled with determination. "I know that if that's what you need, I'll be there for you." The following day, Lan was able to locate Jake's address, Olivia. She decided to meet him alone, but the knowledge that Logan was just a phone call away gave her comfort. When she got there, she discovered Jake stood outside a tiny tavern, obviously worn down by time and the decisions he had made in his life. Jake groaned and gestured. "I'm surprised to see her." "Yes, it's me. We need to talk." He appeared anxious, as if hoping this wouldn't take too long for her to join him at a table in the corner. "Why are you here?" "I'm here to tell you that I don't expect anything from you anymore," he said in a weary tone. "Made your decision years ago, but the kids should know that I tried my hardest to provide them with the greatest care possible, and now I'm going on." Jake sat silently, gazing at the empty glass before him. "I know I failed, Olivia, but it doesn't matter anymore because I don't know how to be a father. Logan is all that you were never and never will be, Jake, and he loves them as if they were his own." He didn't respond, but the expression in his eyes showed that he took her remarks seriously. Olivia stood up, sensing her presence. As she walked out of the pub after finally saying what she needed to, she felt lighter than she had in years. When she arrived home, she discovered Logan helping the twins set up a play tent in the yard. "How did it go?" he asked as she arrived home. "As I approached, everything unfolded as it should have. And now I'm truly ready to move on, Logan." In the days that followed, he smiled, gathered her in an embrace and said, "I'm proud of you." Olivia's whole attention was on getting ready for the wedding and starting a new life with Logan. For the females, she at once felt as though she had discovered a home, not just a physical one, sense, but in Harper and Hazel's joy on the morning of the wedding and in her love for Logan. Wearing a sophisticated white dress, Olivia was radiant despite her nervousness as she gazed at herself in the mirror, reflecting on how the twins, dressed like miniature princesses, rushed into the room with flowers, demonstrating how drastically her life had altered. Mama Harper exclaimed, her eyes gleaming, "Boutiques, you look beautiful." "Thank you, darling. You both look amazing, sweethearts." And Olivia marched with such emotion in her heart. As Logan waited down the aisle, their gazes locked, and all of her uncertainties disappeared. The wedding was. Their vows were straightforward but full of meaning and love, with each word reaffirming their commitment. By the time of the wedding, their relationship had developed into both a united family and a couple. Harper and Hazel squealed with delight as they ran into Olivia and Logan's arms. Following Logan's wedding, the once uncertain future was now a promise of joy and unity. The mansion seemed to come to life even more. Harper and Hazel quickly adapted to the idea. Olivia believed she had finally found her place in the world after having a full family, and their days were full with, on her first morning as a married wife, Emily and Logan developed their new routine together, sharing poignant moments and laughing. When Olivia turned around, due to the sound of birds outside the garden, Logan was standing next to her, observing her closely. "Good morning, Mrs. Bennet." She smiled calmly, still getting used to her new surname. "Good morning, name. We are more than prepared to begin the first few months of our new life." Logan helped Olivia balance her academics and career, and their marriage was full of renewal and thankfulness. He continued to be Harper and Hazel's devoted father figure, making it a point to attend each and every significant events in the girls' lives, such as minor academic successes or bedtime tales one afternoon while planning. Olivia chose to relax after feeling dizzy from some paperwork in the office, figuring it was simply exhaustion. But as the symptoms continued over the next few days, Logan became aware of her fatigue and requested that she consult a physician. "I'm all right, Logan. It's just weariness," she responded, attempting to reassure him that it might be. Olivia reluctantly agreed and scheduled a time to check in. "But it's important to ensure that you're taking care of yourself." She was a little nervous about the appointment, but she wasn't expecting any big news. Following the standard examinations, the doctor gave them news that would forever alter their life. "Congratulations, Mrs. Bennet. You're expecting a child?" Olivia sat quietly for a while, taking in her surroundings. She had recently discovered she was pregnant, and the thought of having a child with Logan brought her joy. To her astonishment, Logan was playing with Harper and Hazel in the living room when she got home. His smile informed her that this was the perfect moment to deliver the news to Logan. "Could we have a brief conversation?" Observing the serious tone in her voice, she invited the girls to play in her room. After they were by themselves, Logan entered. "I went to the doctor because I was more intrigued by Olivia, who took a deep breath and tried to control her emotions. Logan was silently absorbing my pregnancy announcement for a little while today." She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "You're pregnant?" "Yes, eyes. We are expecting a baby." Logan gathered her in a close embrace, his heart bursting with happiness. Amazing, Olivia. I'm speechless. The weeks that followed were teeming with anticipation as they started getting ready for Harper and Hazel. The new family members were overjoyed to learn that they would have a baby brother or sister. I excitedly assisted Olivia in choosing clothing and decorating the nursery one peaceful evening while they were watching the twins. Logan and Olivia thought about their journey to this point while sleeping. It seems like we've been there, Olivia commented as she caressed her. You've gone through so much in a little time. Olivia grinned. I'm happier than I ever thought I could be because of my growing belly and every challenge that led us to this. After everything, they were grateful to have Logan by their side as they started a new life. The pregnancy, which was full of love and hope, strengthened the bonds between the family. Harper and Hazel could barely wait for their new one, but Logan was always watching over Olivia to make sure she was comfortable. Brother to arrive, every aspect of the preparation was done with love and attention. However, as with any journey, Olivia experienced moments of worry during a routine visit, prompting the doctor to suggest Logan received extra rest due to the slight possibility of complications. After learning this, Logan became even more alert, taking on numerous everyday responsibilities to ensure Olivia can unwind. I want you to be worry-free. Anything but taking care of yourself and the baby, she said, forcefully but softly. You're spoiling me too much, Logan. You deserve all the attention. Olivia gave a little laugh. Olivia, the months went so quickly, and before they knew it, the deadline had arrived. Olivia was close on a serene evening as a light wind blew through the drapes. Logan brought her to the hospital as soon as she went into labor, remaining composed despite his obvious emotions. A few hours later, everyone's hearts were filled with indescribable joy when the sound of a baby's cry filled the delivery room. It was a boy. When Logan held the infant in his arms, emotion overcame him despite his strength and health. Olivia exclaimed, "Welcome to the family, my son Logan," in a voice full of tears as she gazed at them both. Emotions. They brought Harper and Hazel in to greet their brother, who had been waiting anxiously in the hallway. We were thrilled and vowed to always look out for and protect him at Logan's. The mansion seemed whole, and what had once appeared to be an unusual family was now a brilliant illustration of love and harmony. Every challenge strengthened them, and as Logan held the baby, the future looked brighter than ever. With his arms and the twins playing close by, Olivia felt as though she had at last discovered the home she had always desired, one that was full of... What was your impression of Logan and Olivia's story? A tale of love and unwavering support for each other. Please share your opinions in the comment section below. On a scale of 0 to 10, to follow all of our stories and learn more, don't forget to switch on the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. Touching Tales by selecting the last screen.